morning, everyone. It's Mistie Bogard here with eXp Realty. I'm here with Audrina of Decor Out the Door.
Good morning.
And she's going to tell us a little bit about her business. Thanks for having us, Audrina.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to learn about Decor Out the Door.
Thank you. I'm excited to share. Decor Out the Door has existed in Lethbridge and altogether, actually, for approximately 7 years. 3 of which I have owned the business.
Nice.
And 1 of which we've been in our new location downtown Lethbridge. We love this space. It's more congruent with my brand image and what I wanted for the shop. And so far so good. It was actually the 1 year in this location as of yesterday.
Oh my gosh, that's really amazing.
Well, the phone's ringing. We're not open yet.
We're not open yet, everyone. So what made you decide to buy Decor Out the Door?
Yeah, it was one of those decisions that was actually really hard to come around to, but something kept tugging on my heartstrings. It wouldn't leave me. I was dreaming about it. It really kicked my butt into gear with making a business plan and doing all the research and then knowing that I really wanted it. But it really came down to building a life for myself that was really well-rounded. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to manage other people. I wanted to use my creative energy every day in some way or other. I wanted to kind of be responsible for my own destiny. And there is nothing wrong with sort of 9 to 5s that you have a pension and all these things that are like laid out for you nicely. And actually, that's really comforting. It
is very comforting.
And I left that job to pursue this. But something about it, just where I was responsible, whether it failed or whether it succeeded wildly. The more work I put into it, hopefully the more I get out of it, and I'm not a lazy person. So I was like, I'll do the hard work. I'll do, and the fact that I could be creative consistently, things would be changing enough consistently, but staying the same enough, managing people, like all that stuff was just really too tempting to not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur myself, I really understand that.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting when you look sort of back at the cubicle life, I call it, and realize just how incredible it is to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. It really is.
Yeah. You're risky and you might not sleep for I don't think I had a sound sleep for the first year that I owned it.
Yeah, pretty much. Right?
And it is a risk, and certainly some business opportunities are more risky than others. This particular one was risky, and without even knowing that COVID was going to shut us down 4 months into owning the business,
right?
4 months into owning, maybe hindsight would have and maybe that was a good thing that I didn't know, because hindsight might have stifled me enough to have not gone for it.
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, entrepreneurship is what is meant for me. It just took me kind of a longer time and a weird path to find that out.
And you know what? That path is part of what makes the experience incredible, for sure. I know I didn't become an entrepreneur until in my 40s. Yeah. So left the security and the pension behind.
Yeah, right. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and now I know that, right? But yeah, being responsible for my own day-to-day and more than just day-to-day and future is really important. Yeah.
So what surprised you most about owning a business?
I think something that surprised me most was maybe the minutia, right? So not that I didn't consider that there was lots of things to do and lots of responsibilities for the business owner, but I think some of the things that I didn't quite understand as much, the little stuff, or that your staff wouldn't just automatically always stay, or that all these little things that you need to have, business supplies, or this invoice, or this broken item, or this all these little things take up the majority of my day, and it's easy to kind of think, all this big picture stuff, or it's easy to think I want the shop to look like this consistently, or this is how I want our operating procedures to be. Those are kind of big picture things, right? Yeah. Or here's my goals in 10 years. But all this kind of minutia, my to-do list every day that I get, a third of it done. That's the kind of stuff that I was like, there's actually more of this little stuff than I expected.
Yeah, for sure, right? What do you do to motivate and encourage your staff?
I I try and have a really nice, so there's a few things, I guess. I try and maintain a really good rapport with my staff. So I am intentionally very friendly, but also try and balance like that bit about, you know, I'm still technically, this is on me, so it needs to go a certain way, or here's why we do this thing this way. So, I mean, having a rapport, like I'm not best friends with anyone and I'm not like the boss lady, you know, something in between. My staff are also motivated. I try and hire self-motivated individuals, but some of my staff are motivated because they also left sort of cubicle-y corporate kind of things to pursue a life balance that they enjoy more day to day as well. Some of my staff are students, and so things like flexible schedule or you know, staff discounts, like things like that actually, you know, tend to motivate those staff as well.
For sure.
There's a few things. I mean, it's a pretty fun place. Like, so that's helpful.
It's really critical, isn't it?
I try and lead by example. Like I try and not, or be like, hey, this is how we do this, so do it that way. No, but I try and like, this is how we do this because X and Y and Z, or this is how we do this now because, or
for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool. What has been a big challenge? I mean, I know COVID was, of course,
an
enormous challenge for all of us.
Different for different
ways.
However,
what have you found to be a challenge with opening the store? What is something that has...
I had like, I mean, so I was recently talking about this with somebody because it's almost like I mean, it's easy to take a year as a measuring stick. I mean, it's nice to have sort of a yardage to kind of say, okay, year one, this was our big challenge. And I probably will explain it to you that way because it sort of seemed every year had its own challenge, right? Yeah. I did buy this business where it was not doing well. I'm not afraid to say that. It was facts. Was not doing well. Had a lack of inventory for the space that it was in.
Oh, wow.
And a large part of the inventory that it had was either dated product, overpriced product, misplaced product. So year one included COVID. However, year one was the challenges were really, really, really late Christmas ordering. So my first Christmas in the store was lackluster because I ordered Christmas in September. It doesn't happen in retail. You order Christmas in January, February, maybe March. So what we could even get, and then what we got, and I was a little bit at the mercy of other people's opinions of what we should order based on other years. Yeah. And then COVID was 4 months after owning, so what we got shut down in like February or March, and I had owned it since the end of September. Oh my goodness. So then the challenge was, okay, I don't want to fail right out of the gate, because that's really not ideal. And how do we pivot basically automatically, instantly, and with less inventory than we want, and with different inventory than we want, and having to lay staff off that I now felt like was my responsibility to like nurture and maintain those relationships that were relatively new. So I had like a really hard time with like laying people off and how to pivot the business, right? So year one was like, what's with this inventory? And now it's COVID, and so that was year one. Year two's challenge was more of like restocking the store, putting things in that I thought would be what my customers were after, sort of trying and really like filling up the store so that we've been in our location for this entirety of this year 3 has been all about trying to start morphing this sort of brand and making this relocation the best it can be. Purposeful choices in moving, like, you know, I've talked about this with customers, but we moved because of many reasons, closer to what I want. Some of which included year 3. So store instead of somebody else's, so that it felt like my baby instead of anybody else's who's owned the store's baby, and more of what our customers were after, right? So, and in a logical way, brand set up our store in a way like my brand image for the really excited to show the customer, then you put it in a space that doesn't make sense for it, and they're going to miss it.
Yeah.
So this store's been all about visibility, you know, walk-in traffic, my brand image, and then not missing the awesome stuff we're putting in it all the time.
And I think
you don't miss the really cool product that I found and was.
Walked through the door the first time, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
If Mistie were a store, this is it.
Right? And actually, I have customers who are like, this is my, and nothing makes me happier actually, but when I have customers that come in,
when I walk through the door, when I
do laps, it's okay. You do your laps, you know, we'll even tell you, we'll check on you, but then we'll be like, it's okay. You do your laps. We're just here. We just want you to not forget that we're here,
doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a smaller store, but you still need to have a coffee. And they do that. Nothing makes us happy. Laps. People are allowed to come in. You know, this is man. You know, and so that's my consistent challenge, and I'll always be challenging myself to make it better and better.
Yeah.
But I am glad it's finally feeling at a point where it's comfy. Yeah.
So have you had an odd customer request?
This is where this is at, or where has this been all my life? Or maybe not like anything too super odd, but we are like, what we do try and do is be super accommodating. And so some things we have done for baskets. I have had one family who was, I might cry, but have had one family who the friend lost a child.
Oh my God.
And, you know, what do you even gift for that? But folks, we find the things, and we have done like we've had things like that. Odd requests. Oh gosh, like we've had some people that are like have different opinions of maybe what should be in the store than what we have in the store. That's you know. And then I'm like, well, so not really a request. I mean, I guess the request would be, can you not have these things in that have curse words? And you know, sure, a request, and yes, odd because it's not their shop. No offense. But it's not for everyone, and so then we, you know, so sort of odd requests like that. It's just like, well, okay, I understand, but I mean, it's not for you. That's okay too.
Yeah, for sure.
But nothing really nothing that comes to mind that was like way odd. Yeah.
So you've lived in Lethbridge for a long
time. I was born in Lethbridge, and then I was raised in Medicine Hat, and then small town Saskatchewan in high school.
Oh wow.
And then I came back to Lethbridge for my undergrad degree. A very long number more years ago than I'd like to admit, and I've been here since. Well, actually not true. I was in St. John's, Newfoundland for my master's degree, and then I've been in Lethbridge since.
Oh wow, that's incredible. What's your favorite thing about Lethbridge?
I like Lethbridge. It's like has everything you need, but it's not. It's sort of like a little bit unassuming, feels small town, but it's you have everything you need. You aren't going any more than 15 minutes from the edge of the west side to the edge of, you know, the south side, basically. So it's not like nothing's really out of your reach when you live in a city either.
Yeah.
There's a really nice like age demographic difference here. They've got like really young folks and older people and everything in between. So you're not really kind of. Some cities are heavy on, you know, retirees, and some cities are heavy on working families. And it's like Lethbridge, I feel like, is just a really mix.
And those are things that really attracted us to Lethbridge as well, is that you know, there's so much here in terms of amenities. And you know, the most restaurants per capita. Did you know that?
I knew that there was lots. I just didn't know.
And you know, and stuff like that. Just the ease of getting around, as you said, makes it a really livable city. And it's certainly what attracted Keith and I.
Yeah, like you have everything you need. Like it's sometimes easy to, you know, to be like, oh, but Calgary has this thing and this, but you pay for that. You pay for that in some way too. You pay for that in gas, or you pay for that in stress. So you, like you still have everything you need here. It's just,
it's awesome.
It's pretty great.
I really like it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite restaurant?
I like ethnic food, so I am a big fan of like Vietnamese food. There's a couple that I really like. Tuan Ho on Mayor McGrath is my favorite Vietnamese food. But now the secret's out. The secret,
I'll be there next week.
The secret was already out because it's busy, but and I like, you know, I'm a sucker for like sushi, and I really like kind of independent ethnic restaurants.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to do in Lethbridge?
I hate to admit, but I don't take a ton of time for myself. But on the occasion I do, and it's not a windy day and it's nice outside, I like to go for a nice walk around Henderson Lake, preferably childless. That sounds bad. I do lots with them, don't worry. But that's kind of like a nice me time thing. Yeah. Obviously more geared to non-winter time activity.
Yeah.
And I do lunch dates with girlfriends and stuff. Fun. Like, yeah. But otherwise, mostly kids stuff and shopping and running around, unfortunately.
Who from your childhood had a big impact on you, and what did you learn from them?
Like so many people, right? But some things that are maybe more applicable to business would be my mother. She's not a businesswoman, but sort of this teaching of like, well, it's a double-edged sword because you can go too far with it, but sort of the nothing's ever good enough. Like work hard, don't compare yourself to other people, sort of standard, holding yourself to a high standard, and that's all that really matters, and doing the hard work at all costs, and that's what I learned from her, but that's very helpful and applicable in my business life.
That's really interesting because I feel like those are the same lessons I learned from my mom. I remember when I was about 13 or so, she one day said to me that one thing she did was try to make the world a better place every day. And boy, those words have stuck with me for 30 years.
It's hard to be a couch potato when you're supposed to be making the world a better place. I know, right?
Yeah, for sure. Is there a memory from your childhood that really stands out to you?
Oh, well, I mean, I guess I'll take this in the business direction too, and I actually have a really poor memory. For things, it's kind of odd. Some things I remember well, some things that no hope.
I think that's pretty normal.
But in the business perspective, and like with that lens, I remember being young and like I was a lemonade stand kid, and I was the kid who made a business plan in my basement for like a fast food restaurant that was very similar to McDonald's, but McDonald's already existed. But right, so obviously, this isn't McDonald's, but was very like. Or I'd be making like the friendship bracelets to like not give to all the people, like sell to all the people. So I was already very entrepreneurial when I was younger, and sort of didn't really recognize that was my jam until older, right? Yeah. That's kind of like, I can remember being very like driven and making business plans without knowing what they were when I was like
that's really
8
incredible.
Or 10 or yeah.
That's really incredible. What does the future hold?
Yeah, I'm super excited for the future, actually. As I said already, like I consider myself a super hard worker and kind of ambitious to a fault. But so there's always a dream and a scheme and for the store, like I would really like to expand. Hoping, I'll put that out in the world. Maybe it's not the time, but whatever. I also don't care. I would like to eventually have more independent business owners in more cities, representing Decor out the door in their locations. So that is something I'm working on currently.
Exciting.
Super excited to make that happen eventually. It might be a 10-year plan, but that's kind of what I'm working on. I would like to keep this store doing at least as well as it's doing, looking at least as good as it's looking.
It looks pretty amazing.
And kind of go with that. I'd like to we already are more kind of into corporate gifting and client gifting and things, especially with Christmas time. We have a kind of a Christmas pre-order situation with client and staff gifting. But I would like to see that program grow every year as well, so that we're like the go-to place for that as well. So kind of a couple programs within this business that I would like to expand.
So given the incredible experience that you've just described to us, your transition from the work world to entrepreneurship. Yeah.
The more work world. The more work world, but for yourself.
Yes. Yeah. It's much funner being your own boss. If a young person asked you for advice, do you have some sage advice given what you've been through?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd say be true to yourself. If you're feeling that something isn't right with a path you're on, there is no harm, no foul in changing. You could also keep on the path you're on, and also no harm, no foul in changing later. Yeah. Life is both too short and too long to kind of be doing anything that you're not 100% about. And kind of like part of that is also like self-knowing. So the better you know yourself and the better that you can be comfortable with yourself and know what you actually need and want out of your life, the more sage your decisions are going to be. And then you go with them once you know that. Yeah,
for sure. And how would you like to be remembered when you're gone?
I'd like to be remembered as like, I mean, I guess I'd be okay with being remembered as like ambitious. Like she was ambitious, like had chutzpah, like she would, you know, I'd like to be remembered as being ambitious and kind, and maybe that I was the person that did those things that those other people didn't try, you know. I'd like to live a life with as few regrets as possible, and just that I was like kind and loving and ambitious and
nice,
went for the things.
Is there something interesting that customers should know about that's coming up soon?
There is things about this shop and this business that a lot of people just don't know exist still, and so that's always kind of a consistent challenge for us to keep the awareness going about certain things. Some things include the coffee bar. So in shop we do have a full service coffee bar. You can get like all your espresso drinks, so like your lattes and your macchiatos, and you can also get like all your tea-based things like London Fogs, and
awesome.
Right now we have apple pie tea lattes, and pumpkin spices back.
Yay.
So really good. You can grab it from us, like from right at the front of the shop. You don't have to come in and shop. Like we're quite happy with takeout orders, business orders for coffee. But otherwise, most people like walking around with their beverages while they browse, which is
definitely
great. Some other things that like some people know, some people don't. We'd like more people to know. We offer workshop classes in store about every 2 or 3, 2-ish weeks. The fall schedule is out now and is like currently getting registered for. So if you're interested in like a girls' night, or if you just want to learn more of a skill on one of our kind of crafts, some of the ones we have coming up are also like gifting oriented. So you come and you make the things and you'll leave with like a few gifts.
Neat.
If you don't want to just have that thing in your house that you created.
Yeah.
So we do have those relatively consistently. And then something else a lot of people don't think of us for, but the ones who know and they're glad they know, is like our gifting service. So we do a number of baskets, pretty much any occasion. You can order one basket. That happens a lot. If you are a business owner yourself or a realtor, for example, I have realtors calling me saying, I need 3 closing gifts, and this girl likes pink, and this person has a dog, and this person has a new baby. And we make
that's awesome.
Perfectly appropriate gifts, and they come and they take, and the people love them.
That's great.
So we love providing that service. It's something we enjoy doing and creating.
Of
but
course.
Then it's like you get the credit for the awesome gift that we send you home with.
I love that.
So that's another thing. And then, like I mentioned earlier, just our Christmas gifting program. So there's a pre-order now to October 31, where you can order any number of gifts. Again, there's a gift menu. I have a flyer, and you can order any number. 1 till however many staff or clients you need gifts for, and we will make them and have them either delivered or picked up by sort of mid to 3rd week in December.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow, Audrina, I can't believe how much information you've given us.
Yeah,
really
sorry, there's lots to say.
There's lots to see
it's
as
kind
well.
Of a jack of all trades store.
You really need to come in. And, one of the things that I really noticed the first time I came in is, and I think lots of decor, especially privately run decor shops, they tend to have a problem with getting a good mix of taste and style. Yeah. And I really think that you've nailed that. Like, you've done the farmhouse look really, really well. Yeah. You've done more modern things.
There's a bit of everything.
A really nice compilation of those. And we're seeing that a lot. The combinations of old and new in decor recently, especially in the last year, we've started to see that. And I think be a challenge.
It can be challenging. Or you do have clients that have a very modern aesthetic, but you will still find something,
yes.
right? But being any one thing isn't really wise for us either.
Diversity is great. That mix.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to mix.
Thank
to
you,
be honest, to find
I really enjoyed chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
And we're really looking forward to seeing you on Park Bench.
Thank you.
Folks, it's Misty Bogard signing off with eXp Realty. I'm here with Audrina from Decor Out the Door, and she's on 7th Street.
Yep, 316 7th Street, South.
Awesome. Thanks, Audrina.
Thanks.